Friends, you are all aware very much that the most of the cases of the sexual offences are handled by the medical officers situated in different parts of the country, in district hospitals as well as in public health units and public health centers. So it is very important for all of us to be aware about the various aspects of the sexual offences as well as how to examine and proceed whenever you get a case of such a sexual offence. So let me begin with a very interesting example or incidents, I can say, that here in a village girl and boy consensually they were having a sexual intercourse in a secret place at the outskirts of the village, and suddenly a group of people who are passing by, suddenly they heard some noises over there and they tried to peep out of curiosity. Suddenly they noticed that these two people are in a compromising position, and suddenly the girl's notice went to these people and immediately she got up and started crying for help. And villagers started chasing this young man who was caught in a very bad situation with his pants down. He was being chased, beaten and handed over to the police, claiming that this fellow is trying to attempt a rape, or he is performing a rape, or he is raping this particular woman. So this was a very odd situation for that particular individual, and both of them, they were brought for examination. It is a consensual sexual intercourse. Then the findings in the women and the findings in the accused are going to be totally different. Such a kind of situations, you got to know the details of this particular case as well as your findings, then you are supposed to give the opinion regarding that. Another interesting example I would like to give you, that two neighbors, they had a fight over the distribution of their site. A little bit this side, that side, this fellow has constructed a compound wall in between. Nowadays, you know what is the land values, they are very expensive. And these people, they had a fight for this particular half a feet of land which was encroached by this person. Every day they used to have fights. They went up to the court of law for the dispute settlement. And this kind of enmity was growing, brewing every day. And one day, suddenly, this Mr. A brings his daughter of 7-year-old to the police station, claiming that the neighbor has tried to molest this particular girl. He tried to have a sexual intercourse with this particular small girl. And this was a surprising and shocking for this gentleman when he was being arrested and taken to the police station. And both of them, they were brought to our department for examination. And later, with the examination, it was proven that this particular gentleman A, he has introduced his own fingers into the vagina of the girl and tried to bring out some false injuries, and he has applied some chicken blood over the vagina of this girl and totally concocting the story of rape on a minor girl by the neighbor, just to settle these issues out of jealousy, out of enmity. So likewise, these kind of situations we come across, wherein first situation, you know that it is a consensual sexual intercourse. Second situation, it is in a concocted kind of situation wherein the person is creating some story. And third type of cases, which are regular cases we hear every day in the newspaper, every day we see in the electronic media, not exactly the rape, the news of rape we see in the electronic media, wherein the escorts, especially of this IT, BT industry employees, when they are going finishing their night duties, these women are being forcibly raped by the drivers or the accompanying persons. So those are the actual cases of rapes. This is a consensual sexual intercourse. This is a case of concocted story of a rape. This is an incidence of an actual rape. So these varieties of situations we come across. That is why we all must know what are the different sexual offences, how they are classified, etc., etc. So meanwhile, let us start with the beginning. That is, what are the objectives of learning this chapter of sexual offences. First and the foremost, to know the classification of the sexual offences, to know the medico-legal examination of the victim of a sexual offence and reporting on them. Third is the medico-legal examination of the accused and giving a report on them. Medical examination of the unnatural sexual offences and reporting. And lastly, knowing the various sexual perversions at presently existing. With these objectives in mind, let us go further to the rest of the chapter. Definition of a sexual offence. Sexual offence is the act of sexual intercourse or interference with a person or an animal which is against the law of the land. Just having sexual intercourse or just interfering the sexuality of the person or an animal, if it is against the land of the law, such offence is considered as sexual offence. How these things actually started with? They are there since the inception of the man. But 1974 is considered as a period of not explosion, it is called as sexplosion. Because of the industrialization, because of the urbanization, because of the person's increase in greed, this all resulted into the reduction in the morality of the person, reduction in the moral values of the person. So from, probably they say, sociologists, that these kind of incidences started happening in more frequent manner. They started getting exposed to the public in a more regular way, on a regular fashion. That period is called as sexplosion period. And only during this period, 1974, for the first time, a data regarding the sexual offences of the India was released by BPRD, that is the Bureau of Police Research and Development. For the first time, it was made available public. From that day onwards to this day, this data is keep on increasing. These incidences of various sexual offences are increasing day by day. And during 2003, it was reported in India about 15,000 rape cases were reported and about 30,000 of molestation cases were reported. But still, people who are NGOs and other sociologists, they feel that whatever these reported cases are there, they're only tip of the iceberg. There are still so many cases go unreported because of various reasons. In the similar period, in United States of America, about 1,25,000 cases per year is the incidence of sexual offences. In the United Kingdom, it is about 50,000 cases per year. So you can imagine the enormity of these kind of incidences which are happening in and around us, and you can imagine the amount of workload the doctors who are going to get it when they are actually in the field of medical practice in the government hospitals or government setups. Coming to the classification of the sexual classification of the sexual offences. They are classified as natural sexual offences, unnatural sexual offences, and thirdly, it is called as sexual perversions. In natural, we have three things. That is, one is rape, another is incest, and third is adultery. Why this is called as natural sexual offences? Because here the natural organs which are being utilized in a way suggested by the nature. That is, actual sexual intercourse between vagina and penis is going to take place in the natural sexual offences. Second is the natural sexual offences. Here, other than the order of the nature, other things, other parts of the body are used for sexual intercourse. It may be anus, it may be mouth, or it may be any other part of the body. Under this heading comes the sodomy, buccal coitus, lesbianism, as well as the bestiality. Third category is the sexual perversions. Why they were not classified into the, or why they were not put into the category of unnatural sexual offences? Even though they are against the order of the nature, why they have been classified separately? Here the most important thing is that in sexual perversions, there is no actually sexual intercourse, either normal or abnormal kind of sexual intercourse. The gratification of the person is sought by some other means, which is actually replacing the actual act of sexual intercourse, either normal or abnormal. That is why these have been classified under the category of sexual perversions. Let us go to the natural sexual perversions. In that, first, let us go through the rape. What is rape? Section 375 of the Indian Penal Code defines rape, and the rape is sexual intercourse by a man with a woman against her will, against her consent, and if the consent is sought, it is by putting her fear of death or putting somebody in whom she is in love with in fear of injury or death. You obtain a consent, then also it is called as rape. If consent is given by an insane woman under the influence of drug or drink, such sexual intercourse is also called as rape. Afterwards comes the consent of an unsounded person, consent minor, that is less than 16 years of old. Sexual intercourse with a girl less than 16 years of age, with her consent also it is rape, without her consent also it is rape. So under these categories, against her will, against her consent, consent obtained by impersonation, consent obtained by fear, consent given by minor, consent given by unsoundness of mind person, and consent given by person under the influence of drug or drink. All these categories, if comes under the heading of rape, and these kind of sexual intercourse are considered as a offense, that is the rape. Exceptions are there in this particular definition, that is sexual intercourse by a husband with his wife. If she is above 15 years, then it is not considered as rape. If she is below 15 years but above 12 years, then it is considered as rape, and for that a punishment of imprisonment for 2 years or fine or both can be given under section 25 of the Indian Penal Code. But if she is above 15 years, if she is a wife, then if a husband happens to have a forceful sexual intercourse with her, do you think it is going to be called as rape? No. It is not a rape, because the woman would have given her consent for sexual intercourse at the time of marriage only. Marriage contract means that she is, along with the rest of the conditions, she is also giving her consent to the sexual intercourse to the husband for as long as she is married with him. Such kind of situation, even husband forcefully have sexual intercourse with a woman with who is his wife, then it is not considered as rape. If she is above 15 years, then also it is not considered as rape. If she is below 15 years, up to 12 years, it is considered as rape. If she is less than 12 years, it is also considered as rape on a minor, and for that punishment will be given in a different way, which you will learn very soon. Section 376 of the Indian Penal Code deals with the punishment for rape. Punishment may be 7 years of imprisonment, or 10 years of imprisonment, or maybe life imprisonment associated with fine to the person. Section 375 deals with the definition of the rape. Section 376 deals with the punishment given to the rape, that is 7 years of imprisonment, or life imprisonment, or 10 years of imprisonment with fine. Next, very important, regularly we hear them in the news media, that the person who has taken the disadvantage of his position in a particular organization and had sex with the subordinate who is working under him. Because he is placed in such a high position that this woman cannot refuse when he asks for a sexual favor. Many women refuse, that is a different matter. But I am talking about a situation wherein a person in a powerful position takes a disadvantage of his position and have sexual intercourse with the